Howdy folks, Little John, and it's time for 5 on Friday, and I know normally I have a little bit of support in the way of some spirit of some kind, but given it's 42 degrees today, it's a little bit warm. Just been out and about, so it's trying to have a bit of a beer, so cracking a Maysel's Voice Crystal Wheat. Not a big wheat beer drinker, but I've not tried the Maysel's before, so grabbed a bottle the other week while in Wollongong. So anyway, what I want to talk about today is extract brewing versus all grain brewing, and not whether one's better than the other, or what you should or shouldn't be doing, but just a general look at the reasons why you may choose one way as compared to another, and some pluses and negatives either way. To sort of help out anybody who maybe, if you're a kit brewer and you're looking to expand on what you're doing, or if you might be doing min mashes and whatnot, just so you can see, have a bit of an idea, of what you can and can't do, with the different ways of doing your brew. So that's what we're looking at today. Before we get into that, a big shout out to all the patrons. As always, thanks for having us along. This is interesting with the patrons. I am doing in the process of doing some experimental brews which are extract, which will be running on Patreon, available to Patreons. They will eventually result in some beers here on the channel, but initially it'll be Patreon only, so you guys are getting to see that. So anyone's interested in being a patron, helping Little John out, or maybe picking up just that little bit extra that goes on, recipes of the month and things like that, there's a link down the bottom to Patreon. Jump on, have a look. It's only a couple of bucks a month. I think it's good value. But anyway, that's a choice for you to make. So extract. Now, when I'm talking extract brewing, and I talk extract quite a bit during a lot of videos, and generally when I'm talking extract, I'm talking dry extract. It'll often be referred to as DME, dry malt extract. Quite often you'll see a reference to LDME, light dry malt extract, or even light dry malt. It's what most kit brewers are used to seeing. That's what you get when you buy your box with your Cooper's kit, and you get your box. It might be dextrose, or it might be a BE1 or a BE2. If there's an amount of dry malt in those, then you can buy the box of dry malt as well, which is even starting to become recommended by some of the brews that Coopers are doing. So if you're a kit brewer, you are aware of the extracts. So it does get a little bit confusing with some people, because some brewers, particularly when they're starting out early on, they call this, they go, oh, this is they call that extract. Yes, it is a beer extract, but it just confuses the issue. Generally speaking, that's a kit can. It's extract, but it's pre-hopped. It's already made to a beer style. You add water to that, and you get that beer style. Extract is unhopped. It's made from just malt. It's been it's been spray dried, and you end up with just a powder. So I think most of us are pretty much aware of what dry malt looks like. So that's what I'm referring to. I don't like liquid malt, simply because I find you still get some of the same problems with the liquid malt as you do with a kit, and that you do get some weird flavours associated with the canning process or that extraction process, which you don't seem to get with the dry malt. So that's what we're talking, dry malt. So if you are the kit brewer, you're sitting at home, you are brewing with your cans, your bag of dextrose or your bag of dry malt, you know, or a mix of these two. You've got a big mix of these going on with your can. Yeah, you're making some beer and you're thinking, okay, it's not too bad, but you'd like to make it a little bit better. Well, you might just simply be thinking about, okay, well, getting a little bit more involved and having more input into the beer you're making, having more control over what's going into it and the outcome, which is it's a fairly normal progression for most brewers. We want to, you want to get involved and take on, get hands on, and sort of do it more yourself. So in a lot of channels and a lot of like Facebook groups and forums and stuff, it seems to be banged around a lot. There just needs to be this jump from kit brewing to all grain brewing. Brewing with this stuff, getting grains and brewing with that. Now, obviously, all grain brewing is the pinnacle. It's where you get, and you've got so much more control over what you're doing, and look, it makes better beer at the end of the day. But there are a lot of costs and equipment involved in all grain brewing, which aren't involved in brewing extract. And now, over the years, I've brewed quite a few extract brews. I don't do a lot of them. I'm doing more lately, and as I'm getting into this batch of experimental stuff. Because I did that jump. I very quickly went through kits, extract, and into all grain quite quickly, and done on some dodgy handmade equipment along the way, which kept my cost down as I went. But at this point in time, I've spent quite a lot of money, and I've got quite a bit of space, and I've got no problem with storage and all the rest of it. That's not an issue. Plenty of brewers don't have the money or the space or the time that's involved in doing an all grain brew day. Now, equipment wise, realistically, to do all grain brewing, you can get into it for for $50, but it's very fiddly. It's more quantity. To be doing it in decent quantities, you're looking a couple of $100, and it's not hard to spend $1,000 or more on the equipment to make all grain brew. You can get your all-in-ones like the Robo Brewzilla, for Guten, for $400-ish. But there's still extras you need with that, and the space, and again, time to do it. This is where extract really comes into its own and stands aside as a really economical, simple way to take that step up without going crazy. Okay, because realistically, all you need is a pot and a way of cooling that pot. Now, ideally, it's a pot big enough to do a 23 litre batch in, so 40 litre pot sort of is minimum. 50's ideal. You can do it on a 25, 30, even a 20 litre pot. It's just a little more difficult, but it can be. You can do it in a 10 litre pot and add water. I'm not going to go into great detail about that because that's a whole process, but it can be done. Because what we're talking about is really today is accessibility and cost factor. So yes, you can do it realistically. You can do it for the cost of a $20 pot. because you can cool that in your bathtub or in the laundry tub with no additional cost. So it can be a very cheap way to get in. Even if you are buying a decent pot, you can buy a decent 50 litre, 40 litre stock pot, stainless steel, for $120, and a gas burner for around $50, up to $100 if you want to buy a bigger output. So for $200, $250 you can have what you need. Even a cooler, just a simple immersion chiller you can get for $50. So it's not the massive outlay, and it's a small footprint. It's one pot. You can keep everything within that pot pretty much. So you're not taking up a lot of space. It's easy to get out, it's easy to set up, it's easy to clean. So from that factor, it can be a much easier step. If you're brewing on in the smaller pots, even up to 20 litre, you can generally do that on your stove without too much trouble. So there still is that factor with a 20 litre pot of just having the pot. Video last week, 20 litre, 19 litre Big W pot for $20, and you can be extract brewing with no additional cost than like your fermenters and stuff, which at this point we're assuming you've already got. One of the biggest issues that you'll come across and that people will throw up is variety and ability to create recipes with extract. Now they say this, they compare this to all grain where you've got, there's millions of combinations with different grains and hops and mash routines and all the rest of it. But for the brewer who's stepping up from just simple kits into extract itself, there is still a massive, massive amount of variety of beers and styles and options you've got. It's light dry malt. So this is basically a dry version of your base malts, pale ale, pilsner, stuff like that. That sort of range. These are bags you can't actually see, but this is an amber malt. So this is a darker malt, made from specialty grapes. So it's going to give you a little bit more depth of colour, so you can use that, for pushing into pale ales and that sort of thing. Even IPA, going into IPAs, you can give a little bit extra to your basic dry malt and up it a little bit. And of course you've got your dark malt, made from your dark grains for your roastiness. So you can use that for creating dark ales, old ales, porters, stouts, stuff like that. And we've also got dry wheat. Now, I've not actually looked completely at exactly what the wheat malt is, what the composition is, whether it's just 100% wheat or whether it's a combination of wheat and dry malt. Probably something I should do. And the reason I said, I was just assuming it was 100% wheat, but given that when you buy a tin of wheat extract, liquid wheat extract, it's 50% malt, 50% wheat. And I think that's because simply, generally in a wheat beer, you're not actually making, using 100% wheat. So I would have to look into that exactly whether that's the case. And it may be this, but either way, that doesn't make a lot of difference. But what this means with all these different malts is that by playing around, you can come up with an awful lot of flavour and differences in the beer you're making by using different combinations of the malts. Which you've got dextrose that you can throw into that mix to help with creating dryness and gravity correction, and helping nail those sort of particular styles you want, because extract is lower fermentability than you'd normally get with mashing. So it can leave you with a heavy, thick, sweeter beer. So dextrose can be very handy as a percentage of your brew, not to keep that down. That being said, you can also use maltodextrin, corn syrup, for boosting your unfermentables, to make a beer heavier. So you can play around and mimic what an all grain mash will give you. So you can make anything. You can go from the lightest pale wheat beers and pilsners right through your whole range, right up to your darkest of roasty stouts, just with extract. No problem at all. Don't let someone tell you can't, because you can. And of course, you add hops of choice to that in your boils any way you want, exactly, and you're making whatever beer you like. And as I said, if you're getting the recipe right and the right combinations and getting your hop schedules at the right times, then there's no reason why you're going to make a beer that's not, very comparable to an all grain. There's slight little niches and things that you're not going to quite nail with the extract. But again, talking from experience and having done it, you can make very, very nice beers. One of my best lagers was made with extract, and it was actually experimental, cracking a summer type lager, which was popular a few years back, just sort of before the Pacific Ale style came in, that summer ale, as they were calling them. I did one with extract, and it was an absolute cracker of a beer. You wouldn't have picked that it wasn't anything other than a well-crafted all-grain beer. I've done a imperial stout, which was mostly extract. Come out fantastic. It was a kit base, but used an awful lot of extract to get to where it had to get. Worked really well. Anyone who's worked up a very basic tin recipe to a much bigger beer using extract knows that extract can work, and it can overtake the taste issues that you have with kits. So it is a very workable and very acceptable way of getting good quality beer. And without having to spend that money, that for a lot of people is a win. You add in the time savings, and it makes that even better. Typical extract brew is going to take you somewhere between an hour and a half and 2.5 hours, depending on exactly what your profiles and stuff are. But realistically, you've got an hour for a boil. Warm up, cool down, and that's it. That's the extent of it. And well, instead of you only using a pot and you're cooling in a bathtub or laundry tub, or even doing no chill, you've got one pot to clean up, as opposed to all grain where you can have 2-3 vessels which can have quite a bit of crud and muck on them and grain and things to play around with. So you factor in less equipment, less time, and it starts to look fairly attractive. So cost wise, equipment, from the equipment side, we know, okay, we're saving a good whack of money. And that being said, a lot of that equipment, if you do go extract, a lot of the equipment you have, if you do decide to go all grain, can carry along with you. But cost wise, as per like just actually making a brew itself, a lot of people sort of, let's say, extract, it costs you a lot of money. It costs you way too much money to make it worthwhile. Well, that's not true. To make a standard let's just say just a basic pale ale, 1044 starting gravity, you'll need somewhere around, for 23 litres, you'll need around 2.5 kilo of malt. Now, if you're buying it in bulk, like I've done here, and then split it up, you pay around $11 a kilo. So 2.5 kilo batch, I'd be looking at somewhere around 2 kilos of malt, $22. Even if you've bought that malt at your local Big W, and it's Cooper's malt, that's $7 for a 500 kilo box. You bought 4 boxes, you paid $28. So 28 bucks. Half a kilo of dextrose to make up to 2.5 kilos. Yeah. This is not a particular recipe. This is actually numbers that would work and knock out a beer. But half a kilo of dextrose, $2, $2.50 depending on what brand you buy. So for $25 to $30, you've got your malt, you've got yourself your base, your malt. Then you go your hops. You might use, again, you're going to use anywhere from 30 or 40 grams up to 300, depends on the beer you want to make. But that cost is exactly the same whether you're doing all grain or you're doing extract. Doesn't matter. Your hops cost the same. You're going to use the same amount of hops. It only comes down to the actual grain. Now, that 23 litre batch, if you're using grain, it's going to take you somewhere around 4.5 to 5.5 kilos, depending on your system and your efficiency. Now, if you're buying grain in bulk, you might be getting your grain for $2 a kilo. So you might get away with your grain for $10. If you're like me and you can't get access to grain locally, you need to get it shipped in, and that grain starts costing you closer to $4 a kilo, so it's more like $20. If you're going to your local homebrew shop and you're buying it in 5 kilo at a go for the batch you're about to make, you're then paying $5 to $7 a kilo. Now you're up into the $25, $30 range, which is exactly what extract is going to cost you. So you can do extract for a relatively similar amount as an all grain brew. Yes, all grain bought in bulk is cheaper, but again, that's that equipment and space. To buy grain in bulk, you need to buy a 25 kilo bag, you need to be able to store that, you need to be able to buy specialty grains which you need to store. I have 3 54 litre or 50 tubs this big full of grain. I need to store them to make, okay, that's going to make a lot of brews, but to make any brew I need them sitting there at any time. If I want to make a brew with extract, I've only got to have that. That's all I've got to have. 2.5, come on, that's 3 kit, that's good. All I need in my house, brew cave, kitchen, spare room, bathroom, whatever, to make that beer. It's considerably less. So, from that point of view, there are advantages. So, at best, your cost saving is $15 a batch. At best. Now, we're talking with hops and all the rest of your stuff, caps and priming sugars and stuff, $40 for a brew. If you're doing extract, 2.5 litres of beer, $16 a carton. I don't think anyone's really too worried about the $15. If you are worried about the $15, go all grain, buy all the equipment in the first place and set yourself up. That's fine. But it's not expensive. It's not as expensive as people want to make it out to be. Dearer then is not a restrictive thing. Everything is dearer than something else. Every way you do something is a bit dearer. You paid for a bit of convenience. 2.5 hours less time doing all grain for $15 for some people is just, yeah, it's no question. For me, it doesn't particularly worry. Plenty of brewers it doesn't, they like that process. But if you are short on time, you're not a great fan of the kit beers, you want something decent, and you can spend 2 hours doing a brew, an extract's a bloody good option. You can still play around, you can still be creative, and you can make whatever you want. And you don't need all the equipment and all the space and all the time. So, it's pretty straightforward. It's not a difficult thing to do. This is not an instructional video. As I said, 2 kilos of malt, half a kilo of dextrose, a whack of hops at 40 minutes, and another whack of hops at 5 minutes after the boil, and dry hop day 4 or 5 for a couple of days in the fermenter. You're going to make a beer. Use hops in the required quantity for a style of beer you're trying to make, and you're going to knock out a beer that you can start playing around with like that, easy as you like. But that's it. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to cut that up. We're having for a while. If you've got any questions, stick them down the bottom. You've got to clarify anything. Got any comments? You know, if you do extract, if you do all grain, if you do a bit of both, and you've tried, what did you think? What, you know, do you find extract to be, you know, better, easier, not as good? You don't like it, whatever. Discuss your experiences. Stick it down the bottom. If you haven't subscribed to Little John, hit the button down there in the corner. Get subscribed so you get notified when it's a new video up, come along. Check everything out. There's always something going on. So, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon and actually getting to see those videos, some of those experimental extract brews, just see how easy they can be, jump on the link in the bottom in the description. But other than that, that's me. I'm done for the day. Little John. So all grain versus extract. Whichever way you want, doesn't matter. It all makes good beer. So, till I see you again, we're drinking beer, brewing beer, or we talking beer. Good brewing.